All right, welcome to the latest edition of the FPL America podcast. This is David Smith.
Travis Hoig.
Brian Shesko.
Brian, you are bobbing kind of with the beat there, with the cadence. Gentlemen, we're really recording late in the week.
Yeah, it's very late.
So
compared to normal, which is so what? I agree. I mean, the information's information. But sometimes, Brian, it helps to get it out sooner. Sometimes we don't know enough information to get it out in time.
Yeah.
And it happens. Look, sickness is going around, right? I was with one of my daughters and I can't talk.
You're sick.
My goodness. Oh, I've been sick in the head for a long time. I was at an athletic event at an away game.
Hours away.
Yeah.
And it kept us from recording last night, and therefore we're doing it on Wednesday night. So if it's released a little bit later than normal, don't fret. I'm sorry. We've done this before, unfortunately. Anyways, all that being said, we got a ton of stuff to dive into. Also, gentlemen, on my way through the grocery store this evening, I noticed that everything Oktoberfest and pumpkin spice is out. Whether it's Brian, I'm not sure I've ever noticed pumpkin spice Cheerios before, but they're out there.
I know that.
I'm sure
of them. Yeah.
Have you had them?
Never had them.
Little Debbie had the little mini pumpkin spice cakes. Everything on the front of marquees in the local grocery store.
What's time? Yeah.
Was pumpkin spice or Oktoberfest.
Which is weird because fall doesn't start for like another month. Like officially.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. It just feels like every single year it keeps getting earlier and earlier and earlier.
We get older and older and crotchetier and crotchetier.
Yes. And I want my things to be my things and, don't mess with it. Anyways, all that, in saying that, I found some Oktoberfest.
You did.
I brought to share if you feel like partaking, although this podcast has been under the weather. And so I know, Travis, you've been fighting a little something, and Brian, you've been fighting something. My wife is currently fighting something.
Both my kids are fighting something.
So, it's things are going around.
Thank you, public school system.
Things are going around.
Just thank you, gatherings of people, any space whatsoever.
Yeah. All right. We are here.
We'll make it, though.
Brian.
We'll
What are we going to do?
Well,
Why are we here?
it's the middle of the week. We're in the middle of, it's in between game weeks 2 and 3, and game week 2 was, it was only fun for mostly one or two groups of people. So we can talk about that.
I feel like I survived.
I
two.
don't know how you and Diane both survived.
I survived.
That
week
was something else.
Yeah. So let's talk about, there's some stuff we need to talk about, some of the fallout from game week 2 and a look ahead to game week 3. I'd like to see the numbers. I haven't seen it. I just know that there's plenty of all of a sudden wild card talk. And so.
Well, I know, but this happens every year. I mean, normally I'm not in the Wildcat. I'm telling you, this might be a rough night.
Have another.
My gosh. Wild card. I normally, oftentimes, by week 2 or 3, which we are now going into match week 3, am ready to wild card and or 4. I think I'm at the moment I'm not, but if match week 3 happens and I feel like I have to have one of two guys, I will probably have to wild card, and that's probably what you're alluding to.
Yeah. Well, I raged a -8 already, so because I'm not wild carding, I will not wild card this early. Oh yeah, I was furious.
Wow.
So we should
rage pretty well,
say.
so that's odd.
Okay. I love this. All right. We have multiple subjects
got a rager.
that we're going to hit. Travis, as we get started here, I just want to remind everyone, you can find us on YouTube. Travis puts a lot of work into making our marquees, making our ugly faces look good.
There's only so much we can do.
Along with our scrolling timer and subjects that we're covering, he is putting in the work, and it looks fantastic. So check that out on our YouTube channel, FPL America. Excuse me. This is going to be a rough night. I'm sorry, people.
Are you going to barf?
All right. Hey, timer starting.
No. All right. Timer starting.
And let's go with, at least I thought timer starting. I will start the timer. And Brian, our first topic is premium hauls.
Yeah, let's talk about just the fact that this week, all the big names, they all did it, or for the most part. So
a lot of them, and then as you're watching it, as I'm, I don't own Holland and I don't own Salah, and so as I'm watching Holland get a pretty good haul, and then right near the end of the deadline last week, maybe 24 hours before the deadline, tons of pundits, it felt like, were saying, hey, this week, great a week as any to triple captain Holland. Yeah. And so many people in our mini league did. And so Holland got 2 goals, got all 3 bonus points.
No, he got a hat trick.
He did get a hat trick. 17. You're right. What's wrong with me? 17.
A lot, but
and so I'm watching that and I'm wicked nervous. In fact, I am red arrows everywhere going into the second day. My captain pick was, because it's always about me, my final decision was between Son and Palmer. And technically both would have been fine.
Yeah, you would have been fine with either.
But watching Palmer and Chelsea score 6 and him have, did he have 4 assists or 3?
No, he had 3, but
1 goal and 3 assists.
Yeah.
And so that was amazing. And I needed it horribly. Though Son and Palmer were the reason why I was able to survive this week for anyone who had Salah and Holland.
Big credit to FPL Caesar, or Cesar, Cesar on Twitter or X, wherever you get your Twitter X. Just said preseason, Holland and Salah teams look like crap. They're so unbalanced. Game week 3, let's wild card and fit Palmer, Holland, and Salah in.
I know.
So I think that's the huge turnaround. Also, another really,
I still think it's a little early. Like I'm not ready to do it.
Another really great, another good one, but this is like real life reminder. FPL Doc. So the Doc, FPL DOC. When I think something that we've said a lot, like no one is essential. You just need to get lucky with all of the other players you pick. So he went through this list, right?
That's if Holland and Salah hit.
Well, no, so he gave the list. FPL Mate had Holland, has Holland only. His current rank 4.5 million. Who got the assist? FPL. Holland only. They're ranked 54,000.
Wow.
FPL Raptor, Salah only, ranked 2.1 million. Fantasy Scout Mark also has Salah only. He's at 246,000. So basically just said FPL Rockstar has both and is currently ranked 3.9 million. FPL Pros,
right,
also has both, and he's at 432,000. So it's basically just to say that no one in there used a chip.
Yeah.
It all came down to the rest of your team in the first 2 game weeks.
Yeah.
So, like anybody, you're screaming if you have Holland or Salah captain in game week 1. You're screaming if you don't have Holland captain in game week 2. But then Holland and Salah have both scored 24 points. So in 2 weeks, they're tied for points for the point lead. So like, if you had all the other heavy hitters, or if you had anybody else that hauled, you're feeling great because just your total points are great. So I think for me, it was like when I saw it, it was more of a, like, I can get to this level. So once I started throwing the names around, it was more like, all right, Nkunku's got to go, Dominic Solanke's got to go, and to get to this other team, I'm so close. All I got to do, like, basically, you got to make sacrifices somewhere.
So your -8 rage was not about the premium hauls. It was about the secondary people that you needed to get in getting rid of some crappy duds.
Yeah, no, I'm interested to hear this.
It was primarily about Holland, and so here's why, though.
You had to have him.
Not only is he up, but credit to Late Riser, reminded everybody in July, by the way. I'm not sure why we maybe should have paid closer attention to this. Holland starts fast. In the first 5 game weeks 2 seasons ago, had 9 goals and 1 assist, 58 points in the first 5 weeks.
Okay.
Last season, 7 goals, 1 assist, 45 points in the first 5 game weeks.
Okay.
So basically also reminding that Erling Haaland has had a full summer of rest.
It's true.
And should probably also consider Pep talking about how Erling feels better than he did last season at this same point, and that his numbers are going to be great, and is saying basically Messi might be the most complete striker we've ever seen, but Haaland's numbers, he can sit at the table, is the way he put it, with the greatest scorers of all time.
Interesting.
Is he going to do that?
It's bold. But his numbers are pretty good.
Right. So I just think it was more of a, if I can, why not?
What are they eating at that table?
Yeah. All right. So I want the exact transfers.
He's probably eating normally, I would guess.
Right, like a
fish.
Yeah, right. It's got to be fish. It's like a grilled salmon
on an enormous spit,
lox
over actual fire.
All right.
Yeah.
So your moves are what? All right. So Haaland
so that was the move. So it was taking out Isak and Solanke out.
Okay.
Haaland and Joao Pedro in.
Okay.
So
is Isak's run done, or is he just not ready?
No,
he's going to be fine.
No,
he just hasn't hit yet.
So this
and
is
he'll score this week.
Yeah, maybe. I just think that's the thing.
That sounds like a bet. Remember, I have that document on my computer where I track those now.
No, that's great. I'm saying, like, you have to you can't have everybody. So that's the bottom line of it. I don't know.
That's the name of this episode.
Breaking
can't have everybody. I'm writing it down. Can't have everybody.
That shouldn't be all that surprising to find out that you can't fit all the people in your team.
It only took 12 minutes for us to come up with that.
So Pedro and Haaland in.
Yeah, and then
Watkins and Solanke out.
No.
Isak.
Solanke and Isak out.
Okay.
And you never had Watkins, correct?
Never had Watkins. Okay. I still have Morgan Rogers. I think,
which is not bad. He looks good.
He looks really good. We can talk about him a little bit more in a second. But that Nkunku out for Smith Rowe.
Got you.
And then the other sacrifice rounding out the -8. Gabriel out.
So you had banked the transfer.
I banked the transfer. So this is a -8.
So Gabriel out.
Gabriel out.
Rico Lewis in. Okay.
Right.
So
anything to get Arsenal out, I think I would.
City and Arsenal.
So my hedge on Arsenal was that they're playing Brighton this week,
and then Spurs, City,
then Spurs, then City.
It's not the greatest run, but they're going to be fine.
The next 3 weeks,
yeah.
But it's not about
they'll get scored on.
It's not about it's not about win-loss at that point.
I will take that bet right now.
Wait,
they will not be
do you think
scored
they're
on
going
in
to
all
scored
three
on
games.
in all 3 of those? You don't think they'll get a clean sheet against Brighton? Danny Welbeck, old man Danny
Welbeck is going to score.
Or Kara Matoma.
I will take the bet that they will not. They will have a clean sheet, at least one in the next 3 weeks.
I'm just saying it wouldn't be like. Again, they're the best defense.
You're saying
I'm saying
the
that
chances are that they're going to be able to hold 2.
I'm saying if it's not for Reyes' fingertips, you've conceded twice already in the first 2 weeks.
Yes.
And so, Ollie Watkins, maybe a little sharper, puts away one of his 2 big chances.
Right.
And Wolves, like what we've seen, as bad of a team as we've seen so far, and Wolves nearly got one.
I'm calling this a bet.
Okay, totally fine bet.
Right.
But also was saying, like, wouldn't be surprised at all if they get at least 1 clean sheet in the next 3. I'm just saying, if you had, like, what's more likely to happen? The 3 of the most flowing good attacks that we've seen so far this season not getting something, or all 3 of them able to produce something?
It's fair.
So, Cole Palmer, Dave, we don't have to talk about Haaland. It was just more about, can you get him in?
No, I get it.
Cole Palmer, really great match day analysis. Troy Deeney. Remember Troy Deeney?
I sort of like him.
He just went through kind of the tactical shift that Chelsea implemented versus Wolves compared to what they had versus Manchester City. Essentially just said that all of Cole Palmer's movement is essential to everything they do in the build-up, and that centrally it was Dewsbury, Hall, and Madueke helping to make it work better than it did the previous week.
Okay.
So that's why, to me, Madueke came in. I mean, that was what Nkunku was doing the previous week, which is why he was an absolute, like, get out of my team as fast as possible.
Because he couldn't do it, even though the opportunities were potentially there.
Basically made the statement that there's too much talent at Chelsea for them to fail. And so, I don't know, is the manager up to that challenge? Is there, it's getting, I mean... If you find a formula here,
are you saying it's not? Is that statement saying it's not acceptable for them to fail, or they're not going to?
I think
fail?
It's that. Yeah, I think that's more it. Because that there's too many talented players there for it to not work at some point. That it's up to Maresca to sort this out. And I think after you lose 2-0 to City, okay, it's not the worst result.
Sure.
To then come back and lay 6 on Wolves, where it's like, oh no, like what if they do figure this out? Like there really are.
Yeah,
there really are a lot. I feel
like that Wolves match was kind of a one-off.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to be rolling.
I'm not
as a Cole Palmer owner.
Well, and I think that's the bottom line of it is like this is the reason why I was going to say like even talk about chasing points at some point is that there's not one player that you can name in this list of people who returned where you're like, oh yeah, that's totally chasing last week's points. Every single one of these guys, you're like Haaland, Palmer, Son, Salah returns again. Saka gets at least something this week. Not to mention some other people who, we just would say are old reliables.
Right.
Like there's a ton here that you can work with. And so it's just kind of like saying I need to figure out what to do to get Cole Palmer in my team. We already know that Chelsea's fixture run here is fantastic. So I don't fault anybody for going after or trying to rearrange to get Cole Palmer in right now.
For sure.
Or Madueke even, to take the chance on Madueke.
So why not Nkunku to Madueke for you?
It was more of I needed the dollar.
Okay.
So
are they the same price? I'm guessing.
They were 6.5 each. Okay. And now if you waited,
Madueke went up probably, or Nkunku dropped.
Nkunku went down. Dave, you also had Heung-min Son.
Yeah. But I feel like I'm nervous about his haul, though, because it kind of came off it felt a little lucky.
Well, the first goal was lucky.
Yeah.
Second goal was
fine. Good.
Is Van de Ven being extremely fast.
Yes. He's the fastest guy in the
did
league.
we pull a quote last week that made it sound like he was that Son was slowing down?
Did we?
Yeah, we did. Well, what we said was he's.
I mean, let me rewind the tape.
He was blowing down, I think, is what we said, which obviously a reference to blowing down Everton's defensive walls. So I think that's where we were headed with that.
Did they have defensive walls?
No, 16. Well,
just like,
so going into the match though, it was not only you had Ashley Young suspended, you had news ahead of the match that Tarkowski was not going to play. He ended up playing anyway. Didn't matter. If you were going to gift a goal to someone, sure, why not gift it to Son, right?
He's happy.
Right.
Are Everton going to get relegated? I mean, it's game week 2.
Wow, do they look bad? Everton looks so bad.
They got to do something.
Last season,
how long until Sean Dyche gets sacked and they bring Big Sam in?
Well, if they do another one of these, it's
going to be quick.
Yeah, because they'll have to do something as fast as possible.
Not having Onana seems to be a big problem for them.
And their starting lineup is not very good.
It's a championship level lineup.
That's
scary.
Nail in the head, actually. That's
still,
exactly right.
Son is clinical, and that's not surprising. And he still looked decently fast. It's just I think this run of matches for Spurs also is
pretty nice. They're at Newcastle, home Arsenal, home Brentford, at United. I feel like that's kind of a rough.
Yeah, it's not. I think it's not great, and so I think that's the. I think that was the issue with Spurs is like at Newcastle. I don't know. Newcastle look shaky even today in their
cup match. Yeah, but they're probably playing the boys.
No, they had almost all starters, but
no way.
Anthony Gordon starting. I'm not kidding.
You serious?
Yes. Isak got a little banged up. FPL Rockstar scared everybody because he said Isak hurt or something like that with a yikes face.
Is he fine?
Seemed like he was fine.
Okay.
But no, like Spurs at Newcastle. We already said North London derby. Probably, I don't know. That's typically goals in it. This Spurs team versus this Arsenal team. This is, a bit irresistible force and immovable object.
Well, but it's also 3 weeks away, right? So,
and then after that, but Brentford, Manchester United, Brighton. I'm not concerned about that. I'm just saying, like, you got one game. This is the thing for all of the planning purposes. Like, until kind of like unless you see City and Arsenal back to back, like, are you really that worried? I'll say. I feel like I'm going to say that all season. Are you really that worried about the defenses?
No.
In most of these games,
No.
I'm just not.
No.
I guess I'm not all that worried about it.
No.
You still don't have Salah?
I had Salah.
Oh, you did have him.
He does not.
Are you happy? It was another open play goal.
Yeah. I mean, he's gonna get what he's gonna get, and it's gonna spread around. But I'm happy that he's getting into things right now, whether that's just goal involvements, basically.
Do you want to pause the clock on the heavy hitters and tell us 2 seconds about Luis Diaz again?
Who? I'm kidding.
He played out of his mind.
Yeah. Jota and Salah, seven total shots between the two of them so far, leads the team. Diaz has 6.
Yeah.
Salah has 21 touches in the opposition box so far.
Diaz did this last year,
17, and Luis Diaz
Then he got
15. Hurt. No, when Salah was gone at the beginning of this calendar year, Luis Diaz crushed. As soon as Salah came back, Luis Diaz faded.
Well, he did get injured.
Now
as well.
this
he
is
had
their. But I'm saying, like, this front
injury.
3 is crushing.
Yeah, I think he's a surprise package for me. We know what he can do, but I wasn't really expecting him to perform as well as he is. I definitely think he's a viable option. The question, though, is still is with both he and Diego Jota at 7.5, unless Jota went up. I think Jota might have gone up.
Yeah,
Jota 7.6.
Yep.
Similar price. Which one do you own? And honestly, with Jota playing through the middle, I think he's going to get the scraps more often in the stretch. But I've been thoroughly impressed with Diaz, as has pretty much everybody. I think he can sustain this form.
So he is a pick.
I think he's viable at this point. Yes.
Chiesa, yes or no, will be a threat or not a threat, and also whom will or will not he threaten? Is that the right way you'd say it?
Yeah, we know what you're saying.
Never the words.
I don't know. There's so much of a wild card on him. He's played all across the front line, including the 9 at different points. His preferred position, I believe, is left wing, but for Juventus, he's played most as a right wing. I was reading some information here just in the last couple of days. So all that to say, I don't know.
You just know that the one person he's not threatening is Salah.
I don't know if that's true either. I think he is quality. I think he is quality backup.
Okay.
But with all the competitions that we're going to have to play with the revamped Champions League, there is strong.
You say revamped? What do you mean? Just adding more? Did they add more teams?
Yeah,
Salah's getting managed this year.
He's going to be managed, and that's my point.
And
that's what I'm getting at. Is he's likely going to be managed, but Slot has already shown that he's managing everybody, including Trent, which was an issue.
Well, he doesn't
right.
He does not.
He did not care for that.
He was not looking at the action.
I told my brother.
Yeah,
I told my brother this.
I think he's going to Arsenal. He's upset with Liverpool. He's
brother Matt. Improbable, not impossible, but improbable. Slot. If he didn't tell Trent before the match, "Hey, I'm going to pull you at 75."
Yeah.
If he didn't say that, he's failing as a manager.
Well, the other part of that
don't surprise your guys in the middle of a match.
Unless he's saying, "Okay, we're at 2 up. Now I think I can, so I'm going to go ahead and do it."
Tell
it wasn't
that
planned,
player,
but I'm going to do that.
Tell that player, "Hey, if we're up 2-0 at 75, I'm going to pull you."
You can't.
He didn't take Andy Robertson off.
Yeah, you can.
He didn't take Andy Robertson off.
You can't predict everything, right? Like
no, but you can say that, especially if
he's not going to make the rounds on everybody and be like, "Hey, I just want to let you know if we're winning by 1 goal, I'm going to do this. If it's 2 goals, I'm going to do this. Hey, you, if we're winning by 1 goal, and then go back around and say, okay, we're losing. I'm going to take you off. I'm going to put this person on."
In his mind, he already has an idea about the 4 or 5 guys who he might sub. He knows Virgil's not coming off. He knows, you start going down the list of guys he knows who are not being subbed off.
I think it's easy in retrospect for us to say that he should have done that, but in the end, thinking about it practically, what actually should have or could have happened, does that happen regularly? Absolutely. I'm only going to play you 60 minutes. At 60 minutes, I'm pulling you because X, Y, and Z. But the issue is that with him,
you gotta have a pulse.
We needed him in order to overcome and actually figure out the second half against Ipswich, right? Yeah, which is ridiculous.
You needed him, and then you didn't.
Well, that's exactly the point, right? So, and he got. Anyways, all that to say, that's a little unfair to say that he should have done that.
It's not, but that's fine. We can agree to this. As a coach and been in those spots before, I've gone to my top players and been like, "Hey, if we're up, you're coming out, and I don't want to hear any garbage about it."
Yeah, I don't.
Just give them a heads up. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think it is crazy to expect that happens occasionally when you know, but I don't think you always know. And I think this situation was one where he saw an opportunity that he wasn't expecting to get to pull a guy to protect him.
You weren't expecting to get that against Ipswich. Now,
no, that wasn't Ipswich.
I'm losing my
This
mind.
week was Brentford.
It was Brentford. And Brentford, who's played us
Brentford.
tough.
Yes.
Played us tough.
It's your first home match at Anfield.
I mean, tough enough that first of all, I don't think Brian Mbuemo was offside whenever he got knocked down in the box.
Wow, no kidding.
And it was close. You might be right, but it was close.
But either way, they flagged it, and we're talking about no clean sheets for anybody there.
I know.
And scoring a penalty.
I wanted to bring up Liverpool's defense at some point, and I don't know if now's a good time to do that.
There's never a good time.
But I think Liverpool's defense is going to be significantly better this year. Mainly, Travis, because of something we talked about earlier today, where you were educating me on the fact that they're not going to be playing so much chaos and or counter-pressing. Possession will be a slower build-up. You're going to be more selective on shots. All that means is that defensively, they're going to be in constantly better positions to not get beat on a press, to not get beat on a turnover, therefore not exposing the defense as much. I just think Liverpool defense is going to be a better own this year.
This still technically counts as premium because these are all guys who did
have 2 clean sheets.
Expensive.
Yeah, and that too.
What I was going to talk about, I think at some point later, was just so. First of all, Trent is your number 1 most creative defender. Actually, he's for defenders, number 1 most creative. 3 big chances created, which is the best of anybody in the league at any position. Total expected goal involvement of 1.7 and has 0 returns so far. So talk about underachieving, but also got bonus points like we said last week.
Right.
I think I would just imagine a haul is incoming. An expected assists of 1.74 in the first 2 weeks. The next highest defender is Ryan Ait-Nouri with an XA of 0.54.
Difference.
For what it's worth, and so this is what I was going to ask you about, is that Andy Robertson, first of all, he's taken more corners than Trent in the first 2 game weeks. I assume that'll
just which side it goes.
I was going to say that's probably went out. It just happened to go out on his side 4 more times than the other side. Is there any case to be made for Robertson over Trent in any way, or would you just try to find that dollar?
I'd find the dollar just because Trent is that good. I don't. Did you notice? You mentioned corners. Did you notice that in 2 corners he went for goal?
No,
from the corner. And in
bold move.
And the second one, he hit the post.
You know what? I hope they go in.
Like legitimately, like that's insane. Like that, you don't see that regularly, and then you see him do it twice in a single match. is something else. Like in the second one, the first one was close because they weren't expecting it. The second one was even closer because they hit the post. But yeah, that was an interesting one for me.
What I was going to throw at you is that Macca, MACCA, at Macca Coaching on Twitter yesterday was talking about the interplay between particularly Luis Diaz and Andy Robertson, and kind of the ways that now that defenders will follow somebody on the wing, and Robertson is running into the vacated space. The way he put it specifically was that the combination of Diaz and Robertson plays a huge factor in Slot's tactics, in my opinion. Diaz is an excellent speed dribbler, and fullbacks want to get tight and slow their momentum, meaning there's naturally space opening up for Robertson to run into.
And he did.
The way he put it is, he said this: I think it's entirely possible we see attacking returns similar to 2018 to 2022 from Andy Robertson.
So 2 goals this season?
I think his numbers, because I feel like every year it was Robertson and Trent as 1-2 and kind of dueling with each other all season long. If he gets back to the peak of his value, you're talking about the possibility of number 1 overall defending scorer for the season. So, I mean, I know you don't want Arsenal defenders to
what year did he say?
Here. 18 to 22.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
18 to 22. From 18 to 22, he's had a total of 6 goals. 2, 1, and 3.
Those are normal defender numbers, though.
However, assists 18 to 22. He had 12 and 18, 12 and 19, 8 and 20, 11 and 21, and then 8 and 22.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You're never going to complain about that.
And then 2 last year when he didn't play much.
Right, he didn't play much. So I guess that's basically the I'm not sure what the wrong pick is here. The only wrong pick is Darwin Nunez. That's the only wrong
Arsenal's Darwin Nunez.
Oh, that would be amazing.
It was banned for 5 games for Uruguay.
Dave, just for real quick, so you're saying no Andy Robertson, but if you did pick him, it's not totally insane.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I saw exactly the same thing as what you were describing, and I think he had 2 shots from like inside the 6, maybe even.
Yeah,
like he was there, but he's just not. He's not great under that kind of pressure. He does not have a good shot on him in those spots.
No one's going to Robertson. Let's move on.
I don't know, man.
Ownership is 5.2%, so maybe.
Dave, talk about your team. Is it true or false Bukayo Saka feels like he has a 10-plus point game in him every time he plays?
It seems like it.
It feels like he's going to crush this season. I don't think there's a hop off for Saka this season.
It will be interesting
barring
to see
injury, of course.
Injury, and then he played a lot of matches last year. When they find time to rest him,
I was going to say,
but it shouldn't be Champions League and Premier League. It'll probably, I'm guessing, the other cup matches he will be rested.
Even if it's for a few minutes, you got to like it that he's coming off a few minutes early.
He's not coming out before 60.
Right. Even in this game, not an easy one. Still, like we said, not a haul, but it was another return from him.
It wasn't 12. It was
in a
6,
game where Leandro Trossard leads Arsenal in shots. Played 25 minutes, 3 shots.
Trossard starts next week.
You think so?
I think so. I don't. My sources aren't telling me that, but I feel that.
Was it? Do you feel like that's true? That he
Martinelli?
Mm-hmm. Your manager kind of said, he basically just said, Leandro's upset. And this is kind of how he shows. He feels like he should be starting.
Yeah, absolutely.
He comes on and he scores
comes on
a goal,
and scores on his first
celebrate.
touch.
But isn't that his thing, though? He's upset and he reacts. And then when you give him what he wants, he sucks. So you put him back on the bench. He's upset. He reacts. Look, you put him on the field, he sucks.
A proper podcast would have Trossard's numbers from when he came off the bench last year and when he started. A proper podcast would have those numbers ready for us. But yes, it seems like that. I think the actual numbers don't say that when he starts, his numbers are better when he starts. it does feel like that, though.
I guess the issue is there's no one that covers Saka for Arsenal.
No, it's a problem right now. We need a Kingsley Coman. We need a Raheem Sterling. We need someone who's not going to demand
Sterling
start
can't go
every
across
week.
London, there's no way.
Arsenal and Chelsea have traded players plenty of times.
It's never gone well. Like everyone hates Ashley Cole.
Petr Cech worked out. Petr Cech worked out well.
Well, I'm not saying it didn't work.
David Luiz worked out fine.
Yeah, because they couldn't wait to get rid of him. Anyways, it's fine. It's just that it just tends to be pretty loaded. I was just interested by that.
Anyways.
So all of that to say, Saka's extremely good.
Saka's going to be great. Own him.
Havertz, if you brought him in last week,
I'm still keeping him.
Right, that's not, you're not.
I
didn't
get.
anything.
I didn't get a return this week, but that's not killing me. Again, his ownership 17.2%, still higher than I would have thought. But yeah, like going into this week, home to Brighton. Yeah, I think he's going to get something.
Yeah. As far as the other kind of. That's it. I mean, that's your heavy hitters. I mean, let's
talk about some crap duds.
This is but that's the rundown. And let me say one last thing. You can, by the way, have it is possible. I'm not sure with the money exactly this moment, but it is possible to have Haaland, Salah, Saka, Palmer, and Trent all in your team.
Really?
Yes. I made a team.
I did the same.
Really?
The way I made it.
I just didn't like all the other players.
You also You also have to. So for me, it was Joao Pedro, Morgan Rogers, Anthony Robinson, and another 4-5 defender, which for me at that point was Rico Lewis.
Okay.
I had Ben Johnson, but so I had
but you also have to have a total of $8.50 for goalkeepers, 2 4-0 defenders, someone in midfield that's 4.5, and Jebison or another 4.5 forward, which basically
is it.
Which basically means,
and I was like, I don't.
Yeah,
he what is he played like 12 minutes this season? Yeah. Like you can't own.
But this
Pedro
is why, like,
Jebison.
You can make that team. The problem is you have to play a 4-4-2.
You have to,
because your dead weight will never play.
You're right.
Yeah. So if you are fine with, I don't know, Harry Winks, just.
Who's getting? He played 180 minutes.
Permanent on the bench, and Ben Johnson and whoever else 4-0 Nedeljkovic.
I just remember from about 3 seasons ago, I started the year with like all 4 of the big heavy hitters. Again, this was 3 or 4 seasons ago, and I wild carded not too long after that because it was too heavily weighted. The team wasn't balanced, and but enough time.
If you pick one of them to not get
over enough time. Like the way I look at it, Saka, Palmer, and Son are going to be in and around. Midfielders typically end up scoring more than forwards by the end of the season. That position typically scores more. And so those 3 will be in the top 5 at the end of the season. I feel pretty good about it.
I was going to say the other reliable names that got on the score sheet this week. De Bruyne, welcome back. Already gone up in price too, 9.6. Goal and an assist.
Good for him.
2 bonus, 12 points. He's played 179 minutes in the first 2 weeks, so no better time to have him than right now, I guess. For City, he's second for shots. So 6 shots in 2 weeks, all of them outside the box, which is typical De Bruyne. So. But he's created 5 chances, two big chances. Right. So he's, I don't know. Will you pick him though?
No,
not De Bruyne. No,
that's the thing. He's at 11%. You feel like that's high? I feel like that's high.
Sentiment.
I guess so. It's this week the return was nice, but I don't know.
All right. Let's talk crap duds. You've already talked.
Well, just that Anthony Gordon also got this game-saving goal for Newcastle, a game they should have lost anyway.
I was really bothered about that.
And then Jared Bowen. You did not keep Jared Bowen?
I did.
Oh, great. Well, you were happy
and Anthony
this week?
Gordon.
Oh, well, fantastic.
Still below the average.
You're feeling great.
It was not a deal.
The only other, I'll throw them, there's 2 other reliables here. I just want to give you, and I use the word reliable strongly with the Brighton players, and I use it loosely with James Maddison, just that back-to-back assists for Madison. He's taken 17 corners. So to give you an idea,
that's a lot. 2 games.
Yeah. To give you an idea of what Spurs attack is doing here, it's
running out of bounds.
It's running to the end line and kicking it into someone's shins. 17 corners in 2 game weeks. So it's number 1 of all players. Kulishevsky and Bergvall are the only other 2 Spurs who have even attempted a corner. So I just think Madison, like we talked about before, I think he'll be fine.
We will be talking about him soon, I think is your point.
It's just that he's taken, of all Spurs, he's taken 4 shots and has 3 shots in the box, which is tied for the most on the team so far. So it's not like we're City, it's far and away Holland. With Liverpool, it's far and away, the front 3 are just shooting a ton. Like this, Madison naturally plays deeper. Ange talked about it last season. He wanted to get, you want Madison more involved in the attack or whatever. He's not just in the build-up, wanting him making, more central and box kind of runs. And, he's doing an okay job shooting so far. It's just, he, like many other players, he's just going to get managed. So he's played 78 minutes in the first 2 games. So I just think that's not, I also don't think Madison is crazy because I think he's playing well.
But is he going to get injured and be a non-factor?
You never know.
Yes,
everybody's
very
going.
possible.
Everybody's going to Danny Welbeck. Is Danny Welbeck going to get injured?
Yes, guaranteed.
Probably. Right.
Guaranteed.
Well, did anyone think that Kairu Matoma was going to get knocked out of the season last season, though, by an injury? No. I would never have guessed that. So, and then
he looked so healthy.
Just that Matoma, Welbeck, João Pedro. I mean, you got returns from everyone for the first. Well, Pedro didn't score week 1, but Danny Welbeck already up in price. Are you doing that? Did you think about that?
No way.
You wouldn't do it?
No way.
I did because I had moved on from somebody stupid in the first game week.
He's 5'6".
Oh, I had Solanke.
He's up to 5'6".
12'9". I mean, I don't know, man. Come on.
I looked at him, but only because I moved from Solanke to Wood last week, and that didn't pay off.
No.
And I was looking at moving from Wood to Welbeck.
I just think if you bring Welbeck in on a wild card, you'll be sorely disappointed.
I'm gonna do it just because you said that.
You should
win on wild card.
You should
in week 12.
I think as long as he's fit and firing, though, I don't see how he's a bad choice.
I just don't think. No, that's fair. Totally fair. I just don't think that's gonna be long.
All right, we were supposed to be talking about crap duds.
Crap duds.
What happened to crap duds?
Well,
what happened to Lewis Hall?
Nkunku is your poster boy. I think instead of trying to find next year, instead of trying to find the next Lundstrom. I mean Lunsford.
Lord.
What about Solanke? Dud?
He got
just
injured.
Hurt.
Dud?
No,
it's just hurt.
Okay, Mount.
No,
Dud?
Nkunku.
Garnacho?
Instead of finding the next Lundstrom, you want to find on the other side. You want to find next season's Nkunku for having the entire world saying he's going to explode his price. He was priced the wrongest ever, and then by week 2, everyone can't wait to jettison him straight into the sun.
What about Eze? Dud?
No.
Okay.
Somehow more people have transferred out Eze and Isak. So Nkunku isn't even the most transferred out this week.
All right. Again,
Eze, here's the thing with Eze, and I was going to say Bruno Fernandes, who you've already gotten rid of, Dave. I see both sides of getting rid of those guys, so I totally understand
I only got rid of him to bring in Cold.
Which was a great move.
Yeah. For now. Eze is tied number 1 midfielder overall with 12 shots. So but 0 fantasy returns. Right.
Again, I'm not trying to mock that.
No, I know.
So you just beat me too. How many points is that in fantasy?
I know. Bruno Fernandes, same thing. 7 shots for him. They're second and third in shots on target for midfielders. Bruno's missed 2 big chances. Doesn't he get an assist? Was it Xerxes' knee that the ball deflected off of? Manchester United scored that goal
in the first
and
match.
He was offsides.
No, they counted. The first
no.
one?
Xerxes
this
was
week
offside
against Brighton.
against the knee.
Okay, you weren't
Eagle.
because he did the same thing against in the game week 1.
Both
I don't remember who they played.
a little less creative, but than maybe they normally would have been. Bruno especially, because I think he's a top creative player. But they're both top 11 for non-penalty XG. Bruno's 5th for midfielders. Like he should have put one of these away. Should have had an assist. Whatever. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Did not.
Would you own him right now?
No.
If you're wildcarding, would you put him in? If you're looking at the stats and be
everyone's
he's underachieving.
So everyone's looking at Bruno and saying, "Oh, at Liverpool up next. See ya. I can go to either I can save myself $3 or $3.50 if I go down to Smith Rowe or Morgan Rogers. I can go to one of these other cheaper guys that's getting something, and I can use that to fund some other better thing." Or I thought that the main sales, I thought the movement would primarily be a move to Morgan Rogers or Smith Rowe, but it's not quite like that. Eze to Madueke is the 5th most popular midfield transfer this game week.
Interesting.
Stats courtesy of the Fantasy Football Fix, who we talk about regularly.
Amazing website.
And they will give you the one of their pages is to look at transfer stats. So Eze to Madueke is the 5th most popular transfer for midfielders. Bruno Fernandes to Cole Palmer, 7th most popular. And then Eze to Smith Rowe or Eze to Rogers, 8th and 9th.
People are selling Eze.
Otherwise, it's Nkunku. Otherwise, it's Nkunku to any of those other people we name. Like, people are selling. I get selling Bruno more ahead of Liverpool than selling Eze ahead of Chelsea. So I'm like, I feel like they'll both be fine. I see so much like arguing. I feel like there's so much arguing about like people selling Eze, and it's insane to sell him. And I'm like, well, this is what happens every year. You blank twice. You should have gotten more returns, and you're watching guys that are just a little more expensive or a lot cheaper.
Yes.
Like going bonkers. So whatever.
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
I sold Isak. His numbers are fine.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Isak. Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. But I kind of have an eyebrow raise.
It's just his shots are fine. So he's taken 5 shots, all 5 shots in the box. It's fine. Second to Havertz and Haaland for touches in the opposition box. Whatever. I mean, I feel like with Isak it hasn't mattered. Also, game week 1 against Southampton is a throwaway. I think it's just that last week, like, okay, fine, you get a red card in week 1, changes everything about it. Week 2, it's like, oh yeah, all right, now we're in business. It's Bournemouth, and they should have lost the game. Like, objectively, should have lost the game. Bournemouth should have won the game 2-1. So,
but it was a handball.
Oh yeah, he practically volleyball spiked it into the net.
Can we talk about Ollie Watkins?
I guess so.
You're talking about Isak's numbers being fine. Ollie Watkins' numbers don't seem fine.
Well, I think that I don't know. I think with him, it's more of it's that he's if he puts away one, he's also a 2 big chance guy.
Well, he had a big chance last week.
Two big chances in the game against Arsenal.
Easily the miss of the Cameron Jerome.
Wasteful player of the week.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
Oh no, Mooney's could get the wasteful.
No,
Watkins is pretty
bad. He was inside the 6-yard box, open goal mouth, and he puts it wide left. Like, I mean, I just think if he scores, he's the number one. He's like arguably the number one transfer in for forwards instead of being the 3rd most transferred out. So that's my question, though. But he didn't score. He has not scored, and he has not. Right. He hasn't really looked dangerous. He's looked like he was going to just flub his lines every single time. We
talked about it. This was the kind of the preseason predictive move for a lot of people, for at least pundits who are looking at the schedule
Going
shift.
to Watkins after week 2.
Isak to Watkins starting game week 3 because Aston Villa's schedule after game week 3 was so good. And I think what's hard is that you watch.
Neither player has done anything yet between Isak. And
Well, at least you got an assist.
At
least.
Fair enough.
But even then, it's still less than you would have hoped for. So the move, though, everybody's making the move. It's Isak to forward transfers. Isak out to Joao Pedro, Danny Welbeck, I'm not making this up, Nicholas Jackson, and Isak to Watkins. Those are 4 of your top 10 forward transfer combinations.
All your favorite players.
That's crazy.
Would you sell Isak to Nick Jackson?
No way.
Who's doing that?
No way, bro. Not doing
That's a crazy move. Isak to Watkins, at least you can argue. Isak also, you could also argue their fixtures aren't great until game week 11. So they're home against Spurs, fine. Maybe wide open, no idea. At Wolves, at Fulham, home City, at Everton, home Brighton, at Chelsea, home Arsenal. So Spurs, Wolves, Fulham, Everton, that's fine. So it's 4 games, that's fine. City, Chelsea, Arsenal, that's not as good. And then home against Brighton is kind of a question mark. So, like, 4 okay games, 4 games where you're like, that's less good. So I get it. I mean, that's not why I sold him, but at least if you're looking through the list in the next the next 8 games, you're like,
that makes sense.
It's not the best.
Yeah. No.
So, anyway,
all right.
And no, Solanke's injured. He's probably not going to come back until
after the international break. Okay. All right. Travis, we ready to move to team value and chasing points?
Let's do it.
Ryan, team value, does it matter? Chasing points, does it matter?
Do you think so?
He hates it.
So I'm saying the names we went through earlier, they're premium for a reason. Just like you said, Son, Salah, Saka, Palmer.
Yep.
Holland.
Yep.
The reason why they're the most expensive is because they've been, well, except for Palmer, we've only seen 1 season. But,
right.
So, but already.
But he had 22 goals and 13 assists last season.
Right.
I'm just 29 games.
I'm just saying I don't think you're it's not crazy to aggressively go after any of those people's points. If you're saying that you're aggressively going after Thomas Partey,
that would be silly.
I need to get him in because he scored this week. Or Morgan Rogers is another one where I'm like, he looks great. He's not done it.
Not yet.
Right. So it's just the hope and the situation, whatever. So I'm just saying, like, I don't think that's chasing last week's points on some of these players at all and reshaping. It's the reason why, like, people get so territorial about whether or not you're wild carding or whether you're saving or what week you're going to use it, planning that far out. And I'm like, if you click the button this week and you're wild carding, like, so what? Like, if it's to get these guys, if it's to shape your team with those players, how's that bad? Anyway,
all right. So let's bring this in. Are you chasing points if you bring it in Madueke?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Okay, so chasing
it's
points.
A little less. Oh, the only reason why just that we talked about him before. I mean, we even said him last week.
I'm not definitely not. Just 1 week. You got to show me that you can do this. 2 out of 3 weeks.
It's just that his end of season last season
was pretty good.
Was very good.
Okay. What about Smith Rowe?
In his preseason.
Again, I'm going through the top transfers this game week. Smith Rowe, are you chasing points here?
I'm only taking the chance on Fulham's schedule and the fact that it's been high praise.
Okay, right.
So
I would say you're not chasing points.
It's nervous because of his
but he's a 4-5. How much? He's 4-5, I think, right?
5-5.
He moved up
5-5.
No, he's 5-6.
5-6.
5-6. He's got a 3 and a 10. So and the 10 came against Leicester.
Yeah, but this schedule, that's the thing. Like, look ahead for Fulham, and the reason why you were getting Muniz, the reason why Anthony Robinson was coming in, and why it's like, oh, hey, they got Joachim Anderson now in their back line. So, like, I think it can go up.
Yeah,
these guys can move up. Muniz very wasteful. What I was going to say is, like, for team value, I just don't know how, because it piggybacks off of the premium players. I don't know how the competitive nature of the pricing this year, I don't know how team value doesn't matter more.
It does matter more
this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
How could it not?
More. Yeah.
Look
It's back the way it used to be.
Look how quickly prices changed on top assets. Haaland, De Bruyne, Jota, Matoma, Havertz already up 0.1. Salah, Saka, like all these players, like the players that have gone up a tenth, and it's going into the third week. Like, I mean, yeah, is it gonna be mass exodus on Haaland if he blanks? I don't know. I feel like you're still going to look at it as like, it's City.
If you're making the move, if you didn't have Haaland and you make the move to Haaland, you're going to know what it took to get there, and you're going to think twice about undoing that because you know that if you want to go back, it's going to be painful again.
It's just like, even like, you're probably not putting Jamie Vardy in your team. But even Jamie Vardy costs a tenth more now than he did at the start of the season. So, like, pretty much every season but last season, maybe 2 seasons ago, like, missing tenths didn't really hurt you.
It hurts less in the back end of the season. But in the first half, it absolutely matters. My goal is always to try to get my team value to around 104 by Christmas.
Yeah.
And you have to really, it's either 104 or 105. I can't remember, but 105 seems, maybe it is 105 by Christmas. If you can get to that point, then I don't care after Christmas.
It just seems like later in the season, those tenths and building up that money might really matter when you're trying to fit 3 or 4 premium players in your team.
Yep.
You know, kind of.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not the end all. It's not like you have to implement that strategy now. It just seems like it's going to matter a lot more this season because it's like, like what if you had $0 and you waited a little bit too long on Kai Havertz?
Yeah, and now you
got to reshuffle.
Now you're not doing it.
So we've said a lot. Don't race towards making a decision so that you can save a pound dollar, a tenth of a pound dollar.
Unless you're angry.
Unless you're angry, or unless you have premium stats.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some premium stats.
Okay, nice transition, Travis. Look at you.
Just like we all predicted, let's start in the back. Let's go defense up.
They're not my stats, so you can do whatever you want.
Spurs and Liverpool defenders lead all defenders in scoring.
Surprising a little bit.
Christian Romero.
For Liverpool, it is.
Christian Romero, 16 points. Pedro Porro, 15. Trent, 14. And Virgil tied with Max Kilman on 13.
Tottenham does not surprise me, but yeah, Liverpool does surprise me a little bit. Interesting.
Yeah, we already said I think Van de Ven's run for his assist was better than Kilman's, but Kilman was really good. Bowen did the work, though. Bowen did a lot of his shot was amazing. I think either one of those guys, because Van de Ven's not on that list. I think he's on 11 points or something like that. But Van de Ven at 4-5. Dave, you're screaming about not talking about Udogie instead of Porro. And here Van de Ven's 4.5.
If Van de Ven does this again, if he makes another run like that again and gets another...
He will.
Yeah,
he will. That's what he does.
He's too fast not to.
Yeah.
That's what makes me nervous about him.
I agree.
Soft tissue makes me nervous with him.
Because he has a history now.
Yeah. But
you know why? Because white guys aren't supposed to be that fast.
Well,
let's just call a spade a spade.
Maybe there are lots of fast people.
It's interesting,
but it's typically not of the Caucasian.
He's super fast.
I know.
Christian Romero scores a goal this week. Does that change anything?
No, Romero does this. He'll have 3 or 4 goals a season, and he'll have them on headers on set pieces.
You can't predict them. Yeah.
Same thing with Gabriel. Same thing with Saliba. Same thing with Virgil. Virgil will do the same thing.
Dunk.
Oh no, he's crazy though.
Romero likes yellow cards.
Your shot leaders for defenders so far: Nico Williams.
That's a little surprising.
That is a little surprising. 6 shots, largely
Nico Williams, the one that's not in the league.
More like Neko Williams.
Oh, okay.
That is your old guy.
Your old guy, Travis.
Largely because he took 5 shots against Southampton. The barrage was on for Nottingham Forest this week.
Yes.
So target Southampton. And then Kyle Walker-Peters, not surprising, 5 shots for him, given what we already know. But in a defense that you don't want to have anything to do with, including Harwood Bellis.
Yes,
come on,
you're
get
right
out
about
of
that.
Get out of that.
All these 2-name guys.
Talked about Trent. Trent just crushing every number possible. I've never been happier to have him in my team ever than this season. Just looks amazing. I hope he stays angry.
His ownership is really high.
It's extremely high.
30.3.
Yeah, rightly
shockingly
so.
high.
Rightly so.
I think Robertson's numbers. I think his selection percentage should come up.
Yeah. Again, it's not crazy. There's value for cheaper.
Dave, here's your tricky one here. You have Porro, right?
I do.
All right, so 5 chances created. He's one of your most creative defenders after Trent. So created 0 big chances, but five chances created is second among defenders so far. He's only taken 2 shots. Okay, so I don't know that I would have guessed that, but whatever. We already said there's the team leader for Spurs has 4, so whatever. It's early, but he's only had 3 touches in the opposition box. I get it. He scored a goal. And it looked great. And the goals are sweet. But Udogie, Dave, he's your number 1. Well, no, sorry, he's 2. He's second to Rico Lewis. But Udogie is second for defender touches in the opposition box.
What exactly is he touching in the box?
The ball.
Oh, okay.
What would you touch in the box, Travis?
I don't know. I just not that kind of podcast. I was just
probably
curious.
touch the ball.
Okay.
Udogie subbed off early this week for Jed Spence, which I think maybe is odd considering Spence normally plays on Porro's side, but I think that was more about getting him minutes. And Udogie is also wasn't that long ago that he had
they were up 4
thigh surgery, and they were whatever. I think that was, like I said, I think that's more about getting Spence minutes.
Yeah,
which is great. I kind of hope he gets a crack at it. I'd like to see.
He's very good. I was surprised that he didn't stick around last year. He seemed to fit the bill, and then he just wasn't there.
If his highlights turn into actual playing time for Tottenham, then Porro has a real threat over there.
If I was wildcarding, I would probably not have Porro. I would have Udogie or Van de Ven.
Yeah, Van de Ven.
Until Van de Ven gets hurt, like Welbeck.
You may have heard me say it. Rico Lewis, 15 touches in the opposition box.
Unreal.
Number 1 defender and tied for 5th most of any player.
Well, he's playing in the midfield, so he's not playing in defense. He's playing in the midfield for City.
0 chances created, just 1 shot, which you probably saw it obliterate the underside of the bar, or if you didn't see it, just know that it did.
Thank you.
I
did not see it.
It was something. And,
how long is that going to last, though?
And if he had scored it, then it would have been, he might have gone up that hour. I think.
As it stands, he's probably going up anyways, right? Or did
yes, he was supposed to go up.
Yeah.
He was scheduled to go up tonight. I think it'll last.
As of this moment, he's not gone up.
Okay. Well, you can still get him at 4-5 for now. Pep specifically talked about just what an amazing talent he is. I think I saw.
Yeah. He did not
price
go
changes.
up.
Yeah, he did not go up.
One of the
Romero was the only one that did.
Huh. One of the City accounts that kind of keeps track of like Pep playing like youth or at least younger players. That Rico Lewis is number 1. He's played more minutes under a certain age than any other City player for Pep.
Okay.
So yeah, he just talked about him and his availability and playing in various positions and just how great he is. And so I hope it lasts. To me,
now that you're owning him.
Well, especially now that I'm owning him. Okay. But I mean, even other than that, like I hope he gets a chance to keep doing it. I mean, it just doesn't happen all that often.
All right. Any more premium stats that are worth mentioning?
No, just for defenders. Lucky for everybody who went to Mazraoui for Manchester United. He got an assist. Diallo did all the work, but hey, Mazraoui still gets credited with the assist this week.
I'm still not going to him.
He's passing the eye test, but I don't think he's doing enough.
Yeah. Had four. I mean, hey, a 4-pointer in a week where it should have easily been a 2 or even more worse. You'll take that every week. He's only created 2 chances total.
Yeah.
With an XA of 0.02. So even with a real life assist, it was a low percentage. But whatever. He's 4-5. Or did he go up? He may have gone up.
He's 4-5.
Wout Faes scores a goal this week for Leicester. So, of course, his price went up. Guess who wants to leave Leicester and is not happy?
Wout Faes.
Yeah, as reported by various places, including the Leicester Mercury. Not sure that he'll definitely leave, but either way, congratulations, everybody making him the number 1 defender transfer in this week. May not be on Leicester's team before the transfer deadline. So
that does not include me.
And then just that Matty Cash is out for a month. We know that. We know that for Aston Villa. So Kosta Nedjelkovic is your backup.
Interesting.
Came in. He's 4-0.
Really?
Yeah. So with Aston Villa's this magic run that they're about to go on, at least of green rated matchups, he'd be the guy. Why not? If you want to get, to a guy, that's your guy.
Really good knowledge.
1.2%. So even with the insiders that are out there, check FPL Villain if you really want to get. I'll say him forever. He's so good with Villa news and stuff. So he'd be where I go to see that
for sure.
But this is more
I follow
of
him on X.
Yeah, this is more of a. There's no one else there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's not like Matty Cash is like great.
No.
And is definitely going to come back and get the job.
No, but look, again, Villa's upcoming schedule at Leicester, home Everton, home Wolves, at Ipswich. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Give me some Rodgers. Give me some Watkins.
Madueke, let's go to midfielders.
Right.
Look, we said last week, like, what a bargain he could be for someone, because he was one of those names on the Chelsea like player chopping block, or like, hey, if the right offer came in, he's available. Now, like, this unbelievable performance, and it's like, will he start every game the rest of the season? You know what I mean? Like, what a turnaround for him. Who scored rating for Madueke this week? 9.83, courtesy of Who Scored on X. Highest of any player in the top 5 European leagues so far. Highest rated performance of anyone in the top 5 leagues so far.
I mean, he scored 3 goals.
Of course. He should be really highly
so did
rated.
Holland.
3 very easy goals. So Cole Palmer set up for him.
Right. Does he come out? Do you feel like you don't feel like a hat trick keeps you in the lineup?
Oh no! I mean, they were going to sell
Chelsea.
They were going to sell him.
No, I think Madueke is earned a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. I would just say, don't forget, he was a top 10 midfielder the last 9 game weeks. So weeks 31 to 38 last season. I know Chelsea played a bunch of extra games in there.
Brian.
He scored 51 points between game weeks 31 and 38, putting him easily in the top 10 of midfielders scoring by the end of the season. And he still is cheap.
I like him. I don't think it's chasing points because I think he's done enough over that span of time.
Dave, over under on Partey goals this season.
Ooh.
Thomas Partey, 5.0, 1.1% selected.
What's the over
Scored this week.
What's the number?
A great goal.
You tell us.
That's what I'm saying. Well, where would you put it? He's already on
under
pace,
3.
On pace to destroy his previous season high of 3 goals scored in 22-23.
Under 3, yes.
You think it's under?
Oh, yeah.
Partey under 3 goals for the full season?
Oh, yeah.
You should take that. All he's got to do is score 4.
I don't know if he can stay healthy enough to play long enough to.
Can he stay healthy enough?
There's a lot of players behind him ready to play.
Yeah,
where's Marino? Where does Marino play?
I think
that's a great question.
Where does Marino? Who does he kick out of the lineup?
He can play in the 6 or the 8.
Okay.
So he's going to take Odegaard's spot, right?
So what they want him to do is what they wanted Havertz to do, and now Havertz is playing striker, is to play the, in quotes, Xhaka role, which, then that's what Mourinho.
How about his goal this past week?
Yeah.
Mourinho. That's
Jose
what
Mourinho.
new Mikel will do. MM.
Interesting.
I'm going to call him MM.
Okay.
Eminem.
MM will be technically playing the Xhaka role. So it's going to...
red cards, yellow cards.
Only score screamers.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mikel Arteta fixed Xhaka's yellow and red cards.
Yeah.
That was the thing of the past.
That's why
once
he's
Mikel
invincible.
All right, I still think he could. I mean, if you're right, it's probably fair. He's never scored more than 3.
All right, let's talk. Speaking of old reliables,
Okay.
like Xhaka and his red cards.
Okay.
Let's talk about some old reliables.
No, there's more.
No,
here.
come on.
Yeah, there is.
You said, you got a little bit. Oh, let me talk some more. Let me not talk about it.
Here's some stats though.
Oh, you got 2 stats sections.
Semenyo. Bournemouth.
Dang it! I wanted to bring him up.
Thought he was going to be one of your enablers.
No, but
He's enabling Bournemouth to play without Solanke.
Yes, we need it. Semenyo has got to be discussed. There's rumors that he might not end up on Bournemouth's team in the next 72 hours. He might get sold. I do not know.
Where?
But I do not know. Maybe Arsenal. I do not know.
And he was in my team at the beginning of last year because he looked that good.
yeah,
Semenyo's looked
just
really
kind of flashy.
He's the guy now at Bournemouth.
yeah.
They haven't signed anyone.
True. That's true.
Evan Nielsen.
Oh yeah,
They
him.
did sign that one guy.
And you know who keeps scoring?
Yeah.
Semenyo.
Does he though?
Yeah.
He had an assist this week. So
He almost had 2.
He's fantasy scoring. Get out of my face,
shots.
Travis.
7 shots this week, which was tied for first overall. All players. 12 shots so far, which is tied for first overall with Eze. So
How many points did Eze get for those shots?
he didn't get in.
Oh, so
that's the problem.
Semenyo,
This is why
8,
Semenyo's
5
shots
and
counted
8.
for more.
Price 5.5. Would you rather have Semenyo or Joao Pedro?
No, he's a midfielder.
midfielder,
You would rather
In my face.
It's would you take Semenyo or
Rodgers.
Smith Rowe?
Well,
Right.
Smith Rowe's
Smith Rowe.
5'6" now, so Semenyo if you can afford him, I guess. If that's all you can afford.
I probably would rather own.
And Rodgers is Rodgers 5'0" or
5'0"?
Rodgers is 5.0.
So
I currently own Rodgers,
see, Semenyo looks better, but is also more expensive.
but Rodgers is coming into an amazing stretch.
Yeah, that's fair.
An amazing 4-game
and
stretch.
I want to correct what I said. Rodgers looks good, but Semenyo is scoring.
Yes.
I guess that's the key
Yes.
component. That said, Rodgers is about to hit a good run of fixtures. So with him being 0.5 less, I say wait and see.
Bournemouth is at Everton. At this point, that looks really good. And then they're home Chelsea, at Liverpool, home Southampton.
And then at Leicester.
Yeah, I mean, Bournemouth's schedule is pretty good.
So in the
too.
next 5, really the only one you don't like is at Liverpool.
Right now, but there's still time for their defense to fall apart.
Yep.
You know, when Trent leaves for Madrid.
Yeah, so I think it's probably the Maverick choice to go to Semenyo, but I think it's a good choice. He's number 1 midfielder also for expected assists, so 1.62 XA.
And how many does he have?
1. But would he have gotten the assist?
I think he did. I think he would have.
The other thing I love about Semenyo is his
shoulder.
ownership is 2.5.
Yeah. I think
That's the one guy I wanted to bring up. Like, my ad of the week would be, you want to get someone who's kind of off the radar and looks hungry and continuing to score and is kind of filling.
And yet
the
you used your
Solanke.
transfer on Rico Lewis.
Yeah, I did, because that was a little bit of a less of a hole to fill. With Lewis Hall has just talk about duds was Newcastle's defense. So,
all right, we ready to move to old reliables yet?
I thought we were already there.
No.
Semenyo is not an old reliable.
No, we did. I mean, look, we
right.
kind of talked about some of those guys earlier.
No, we did.
Yeah.
We did. In fact, we might be able to just gloss over that
I was going to
section.
say the only other things I would just add to Bournemouth just for because Semenyo is the kind of the glaring one, just that Marcus Tavernier is also playing well.
Yes.
And so he scored the goal this week, or scored the the goal, the real goal for them.
The one that counted.
He's just a good bridge. 7 chances created so far, 7 shots so far. So that's just fantastic numbers for a guy who's an actual good player. So just at Bournemouth, I think maybe the expectation you lose. This is that's the Ewing rule, the old Ewing rule from basketball writer Bill Simmons. Just the expectation of you lose your best player. He specifically referenced Patrick Ewing when he left. Is it not an NBA podcast? But when he left the Knicks,
right?
The thought was the Knicks were going to absolutely crumble, and they didn't. They ended up making the NBA Finals the year after he left.
But it helped that Jordan wasn't there.
And but Peyton Manning, same thing happened when he left Tennessee. They
made the national championship next year.
So it's not. There is some historical precedent for just because your best player leaves doesn't mean that everything falls apart. And I would say it's actually the opposite for them because they were extremely good week 1 and they absolutely should have beat Newcastle this week. So, I wouldn't sleep on those guys. I feel like they're nice.
Old reliables in that section. The one that gives me a little concern is Son, because he got 16 points this week. It just felt a little fluky.
Yeah. Well, should
I be, as a Sun owner, should I be worried about that?
No, I think you should just be. Why? We should be just glorying in it.
Well, his ownership is 10.2, so he's still, I would say, a differential.
Yeah, that's a huge for somebody expensive. It's huge.
Well, I know, but I mean, he had 2 the first week, 16 second week, against an Everton team that looked like they're already relegated. Travis, we already discussed that. I don't expect 16 every week, but I would love to have goal involvements. I think
what everyone expected was, I think there was an expectation that like Richarlison comes in when Solanke's out, and he didn't. The fact that Son, did he play as a forward? I feel like he was still kind of running off the left.
No, I mean he played all the 90.
Right. So that's why
where is the question.
He's on the left side to start with.
Because he's more dangerous to the center. Obviously, we discussed that too.
Yeah, so you'll get one more week of this, then the international break, and then Solanke presumably is back, and then
he maybe goes further. So I don't know.
Kuliszewski, when he came in
that
the
was one
67th minute.
So I would say too, like, how many goals does Solanke score? Like, right before he's announced that he's injured, like all the other reports were him talking about how excited he was to get to play Everton. Like, this was like Solanke's he would have gotten the hat trick this week,
maybe.
So the fact that he wasn't out there, like, it's it's just really unlucky.
You know who was though, Brian? Wilson
Odebear. Yep. I'm glad he got minutes. Kuliszewski, by the way.
And I would say who?
Well, they brought him from Burnley.
For Burnley. You saw him play for Burnley.
Don't act like both of you know.
100%.
Like everybody knows about this guy.
Are you serious?
I will not hear it. No freaking way,
The announcers loved Odebear because he was quick. He cut in on the left.
That's fine if the announcers love him.
And they swooned over this guy.
You knew who this guy was.
This guy. I'm saying before, when he was with Burnley, and that's why I remembered
Dave,
him. No, it's like, who is this guy that they love him so much?
No.
You know who's cannot stay out of the starting lineup? Speaking of guys who have forced their way into the starting lineup, is why Kuliszewski did not start game 1.
Crushed preseason
is weird. The fact that we said it last week.
Yeah.
So it was Minta from Brighton and Kuliszewski
crushed preseason.
Both crushed preseason. Minta gets an assist and then a concussion, plays only half of the first game. 16 touches for Minta in the opposition box in the first 2 game weeks. So he's third. He's tied with Semenyo. So Minta has done it in 100. He did it in 134 minutes.
One of those touches was with his head.
Kuliszewski has 15 box touches in 78 minutes.
Yeah.
So we said that last week. Like, he was one of the leaders for midfielders in touches in the opposition box, and he played like 11 minutes or whatever it was last week. Like the guy,
what's he got to do though? That's the question. Is what's he got to do?
He needs
Score
to.
or assist.
It's the same question with what's your guy?
He needs to kick Brennan Johnson out.
Trossard.
I think.
Yeah, it's the same Trossard thing. What do I have to do when I get on the field?
This is where I think this is where Spurs
it's a good analysis, Travis.
Spurs are real good. How long has it been since it's like, oh, we have kind of a depth problem here? It's always been like, oh, they're like even now in their defense, it's like as long as that starting back four is back there, that's
fine.
Great.
Yeah.
If something happens to Porro, all right, well, you just have an unproven commodity in Jed Spence. If something happened to Udogie again, it's Ben Davis. So it's like,
and
that's
Spurs faithful love Ben Davis,
right?
So much.
He's a real club warrior, but he's a
whippersnapper.
But like if Romero or Van de Ven get hurt, like Dragusin is there. Do you know what I mean? Like there is at least somebody.
Sure.
I think up front now it's.
Who's the United guy that's still there that went to Johnny Evans? He's a
Johnny
Evans of Tottenham. That's what I was
Johnny Evans is somehow still ticking.
Anyway, I'm not sure what Kuliszewski has to do. I just think he's.
Well, I think Travis nailed it. He is Spurs Trossard.
He is just.
What do I have to do? I might be your best finisher. Trossard might be the best finisher at Arsenal. Can't get it in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
And Martinelli, when was the last time he did anything? I think is the proper question. So,
and he's losing. Competition with Vieira leaving too, right? Because didn't Vieira go on loan?
Vieira went on loan, but he was never coming in really as a left wing. I mean, Vieira was going to be playing it more in the midfield.
I feel like I saw him play left wing.
They put him in there at times, but it wasn't meaningful minutes.
All right, let's talk enablers.
Those are all the enablers. I think the biggest enabler is Morgan Rogers, and I think that's the one that everybody.
It hasn't hit yet, but I feel really good about it.
Well,
he's everywhere.
But I'm saying that he's 5-0, and it's like we said. It's to me, it's more of the potential. It's eye test player, top 4 quality team.
Sure.
Yeah.
Playing up front with Ollie Watkins.
Agree. Right. Advanced.
And their schedule is getting better.
And a great schedule. So he's done nothing but look good.
I would take him on Arsenal right now. Easily. And I would probably start him on the left wing.
Huh.
I'm serious. Rogers looks that great. So
I think
he's skilled. He's big.
Yeah,
he muscles people off the ball. Like, I would take him in a heartbeat, bro. Like, he really is something.
He's like a refined Joe Linton. Because he's got that size to him.
Remember when Joe Linton grabbed the goalkeeper by the neck?
And
they tried
collapsed.
To say, well, it wasn't true.
You remember when the Wolves guy choked Havertz on the middle of the pitch?
Terrible.
That made no sense. That drove me a little bit nuts.
No,
by the way, that guy was up to no good in the Chelsea match again.
Mascara.
He is no good. He's dark arts guy.
His numbers look good. We're going to be talking about him in a couple of weeks anyways.
Anyone in midfield or forward who is the cheapest? Because my answer is no. I don't like. Do you want a 4.5 midfielder or a 4.5 forward?
I don't think there are any.
That's what I mean.
I mean, to your earlier point, when I was trying to make a team with all those guys, you have to dabble in that clientele, and none of them are very appealing.
So
at all.
The cheapest that I have in the midfield is Rogers.
Right.
And he's at a 5-0. But you
that's
put
about
the
as cheap
cap
as you can
on
go.
4-5.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Harry Winks is currently the...
What about 4-6? Would you allow 4-6?
No.
Who's your 4-6?
Just some guys have jumped up to 4-6.
Harry Winks is 12th in scoring. Or, I mean, in transfers in. Harry Winks is 12th for transfers in this week.
But the reason why is because people are trying to make room for premiums. They have to, just like you just said.
I feel like Morgan Rogers now at 5.1. I feel like that's your bottom.
Yeah, that
barring some kind of odd like
It's interesting
Bergvall,
he's
like
a
Bergvall,
5'1".
if he got a run for Spurs,
he doesn't have enough minutes, but I agree.
Right.
I think he's primed to do something maybe.
but it's just acclamation.
I
So
agree
they're
with
not.
that.
He's not going to take Madison's spot. But if something happens to Madison,
I agree.
then
He's on my watch list.
I'll tell you what.
Legitimately, he's actually on my real watch list. Yeah.
Okay. Glad you clarified.
Like the real one. Not just like a figure of speech.
Okay.
Like the actual function in the tool.
No, I think that I still like. Yeah, you asked about Lewis Hall earlier. That's a tough one just because it feels like this could just be a Eddie Howe tactically would rather set up with Byrne or somehow just however he sees whatever he's trying to get out of the attack. The fact that
They're
Lewis
also
Hall,
reeling from the Shar red too. That's weird too.
I'm not eager to sell him, so I'll still hang on. But we already said I don't know how many times in the next like I said, game week 11. I mean, if you played him, you're not really excited. Maybe at Wolves, you might throw him in your starting lineup in 2 weeks. You're not starting him next week or this weekend against Spurs.
No.
At Fulham, I don't think that's good. I don't feel like at Fulham.
It's fine.
You start him? And then home to Manchester City. You're not starting Lewis Hall against Manchester City. At Everton, there's one.
Fulham
home against Brighton. I'm not starting him in that game.
I don't know. I'm not worried about him because I already sold him.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's just like he's one of those guys though that was like that.
Agree.
2 weeks ago, it was like, hey, every Newcastle account that was out there, every fan and everyone was like,
Newcastle
finally,
defense, awesome.
He's
Let's
getting
go
it.
with Lewis Hall.
Right, and now already didn't get rid of Trippier. Livramento who could have been an awesome pick, but it's
Margehi
not going to happen. Didn't
coming
get
in.
Gehi. Right, so now it's it's still unsettled. So I just think these other the other super cheap guys, I don't love it that I don't want to have Ben Johnson. I didn't but I would rather. I mean, if I was picking even right now, I would probably go with the Villa right winger or right back. Yeah, Nedeljkovic.
Glad you said it.
Ian Maatsen still looks good, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
No, he's
agree.
It's only a matter of time.
That's it.
Ben Johnson did get a assist.
Yeah,
He did.
So
on my bench, but still, yeah.
At least
things you like to see from your bench is hey,
that they could have done something.
At least they produce every now and then, which is great.
All right, let's wrap up with stats only Brian cares about.
We went through them.
And all right, well then I want to shift right now to Brian already gave us his transfers. Travis, transfers for you this week.
I had planned on saving my transfer, but
you're banking.
I had planned to, but I didn't.
You used.
I used it because I think I want those Rico Lewis points as a
interesting
defender playing in the midfield.
Makes sense. I did the same.
While he's playing because it's unlikely he will stay there all season.
I was concerned about his price going up, as Brian made me aware of pre-pod. I made the move Lewis Hall to Rico Lewis. Boring.
I'm surprised.
Let me ask you this, because this introduced a problem for me because I didn't want to make a transfer and then not play him. I want to play him, and so that's forcing me into 4 in midfield, instead of 5. So here's the question: do you want Rodgers against Leicester?
Yes.
Or Bowen against City?
Rodgers, Leicester. So
I agree. That's what I have.
I have an issue at the moment.
Myself.
My issue is, and I'll go through my lineup real quick. I have Rico Lewis, Ben White, Pedro Porro. Then across my midfield, Jota, Saka, Son, Palmer. And then front line, Isak, Havertz, Mooney's at Ipswich. Havertz home, Brighton. Isak home, Spurs. Now, I feel like the move would be Rodgers instead of Isak. But I definitely want Rodgers in the... I don't feel like Rodgers is better than Jota this week. Not greater than Saka, not greater than Son, not greater than Palmer. Defense can't be touched. Then it's front line. I want Mooney's against Ipswich. I want Havertz against Brighton. It only leaves Isak. So would you rather have Isak, home Tottenham, which I feel like Isak's about to get something. I feel like
But we just talked about a ton of stats about how good Tottenham has been defensively.
I know. I think Rodgers greater than Isak at this moment. It just makes me really nervous because he can easily get a brace. He's got hat-trick potential.
Yeah, so the last 3 Newcastle-Tottenham matches, 4-0 Newcastle, 4-1 Tottenham, 6-1 Newcastle.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
Right, like there's goals there.
So I don't know that
it's a home match for Isak. So I'm totally torn. I do not. Maybe it's Havertz. Maybe I sit Havertz this week. I just feel like Rodgers should be in there, and I just don't know. Maybe it's Jota. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I want Rodgers in there, and I don't know who else to pull. I got problems.
That's one of them.
Captaining is captaining Palmer for me. By the way, you didn't ask, but I knew you were about to.
I am looking to captain Ollie Watkins this week.
Ooh.
I just need points badly.
Well, Brian,
talk to us about what's going on.
On your rage -8, who are you captaining this week? Now that you own
you know what?
Erling.
You're going to do another transfer? You should do it. You should do it.
Now you have the cakeist thing. Just select Erling every week.
Seriously, the guy who I really want, and if I felt like Jota's, if he's losing minutes, it would be him doing Mbeumo as fast as possible.
He's not losing minutes. He's not.
But I like Mbeumo's minutes, and I like the Mbeumo's on penalties more than I like Jota overall, especially if Salah's still there.
So you like Mbeumo greater than Jota?
I'm not moving Jota out. I mean, this is like a
wild card maybe, but not right now. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, if I was wild carding, I probably would do that.
Really? Mbeumo greater than Jota?
I just overall, I like him better. I like him better for the security. I just don't see him.
I understand that. I don't think I would do that, but I understand
zero chance of Mbeumo getting rotated. Period. There is slight chance of Jota's coming off
losing minutes. Yeah,
losing minutes, not necessarily early on.
Yeah.
Which is why, look, I didn't put Mbeumo on my team. I put Jota in my team. I'm still tripled up on Liverpool.
Because I said so. That's why
I believe in Liverpool. So it's not like even this week, like at Manchester United. So what?
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
It's just this is a pretty well organized United team right now. Defensively, they seem fine. So
I'm not really sure. I probably will captain Haaland. I think Saka is a good captain choice this week at our home against Brighton. I like the home captain. If I had Watkins, I probably would think about that. You know what though? I mean, who knows with this Ipswich, with Fulham at Ipswich?
Yeah.
Target Ipswich if you can.
Mooney's, man.
I wish I did. I mean, this is the week I wish I had Mbeumo though, because
Mbeumo versus Southampton,
or home against Southampton.
Yeah,
so.
I agree with that. That's a good one.
No, Villa at Leicester. Yeah, I mean, what if you captain Morgan Rogers and you just take that wild roll of the dice?
Ain't no way.
Triple captain him.
Hey, no, I am not moving off a cold home to Palace this week. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's a good
Palmer. I don't remember where he finished last season, Brian. Again, I'm not a quality host, but he was in the top 3 midfielders scoring. If he wasn't number 1,
he was number 1.
He had 22 goals scored, 13 assists in 29 starts. Cole Palmer,
it's a good pick.
Is my captain pick this week. Granted, I do not have Salah or Erling.
I am not.
You're going with Erling.
I won't captain Salah against Manchester United, but
you own now Salah and Haaland. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm torn.
You always are.
Fence Riderz FC. That would be my next. That would be my next team name.
Oh, that's fantastic.
If I change it.
All right, Travis, did we miss anything?
We did not.
All right, fair enough. Gentlemen, I am looking forward to the week, and I'm also looking forward to let's see. I'm checking really quick here. Again, I should have been ready. I don't think there's not a Friday match.
Nope.
Saturday we start with Arsenal at Brighton. I'm sorry, Brighton at Arsenal at 7:30 match.
Maybe that's
early
maybe
game.
That's why you don't captain
Havertz.
You don't do the early.
I hate an early captain.
Hate the early captain.
Hate an early captain. Brentford, Southampton. I'm not going to go through all the games.
I thought you
West
were.
Ham City. West Ham City at the 12:30. Well, okay, this is EST, English Standard Time. The late game on Saturday, City at West Ham. And then the marquee matchup on Sunday, Travis. One of the oldest rivalries in
baseball.
In Premier League football. It's Liverpool at United.
Yeah, interesting.
Are you excited for it?
I'll have to tune in and check it out.
Also, before that, Spurs Newcastle. I think it's gonna be here.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Travis, those stats on their last three I mean, if there's goals like that in that match, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
All right, gentlemen, that's it.
That is it.
We did it. We are at the end of the pod, and for the FPL America podcast, this is David Smith. Until next time.